How's everybody doing? So we got Luke Wilson back. We got Techno Thursdays back, and I'm sure we're going to have a couple flute players, hopefully. And I'm sure you guys are going to ask me about Kyler Murray, so let's have some fun.
Short shorts?
Techno Thursday first?
Say again?
Is Techno Thursday going to be more popular the second time?
I think it's going to be more popular, yeah, for sure. We're back. So it's great having Luke back, just his energy, what he's been able to do throughout his career here in Seattle. Me and him have been talking for years about, hopefully reuniting, and it feels good. So I think that we're both fired up about that, so that opportunity.
You actually like techno music, though?
No, I don't listen to music. I'm an oldies guy, man.
Thank you, Ben.
What has the conversation been this week? I mean, the outcome Sunday wasn't what you wanted, so what's the conversation been in the locker room?
Well, the conversation's just been focused on the mission. The mission's this week. The mission is trying to find a way to win this week. That's always the mission. I think for us, we want to be able to fix the stuff that we weren't doing well in the game. So that's what Monday and Tuesday and all that's for. And then Wednesday we move on. You got to be able to move on and transition your mind and transition your focus onto another great team and getting prepared to be able to play some football. So this team's got a lot of great players on it, on offense, defense. Their special teams is good too. So the record may not show for how talented they are. We got a lot of respect for these guys. It's always a tough battle in Arizona. It's always one of those things that seems to go down to the wire, it's one of those games that's a physical game, fast. It's a lot of great players on the field, so it'll be a great matchup.
What do you think of Kyler Murray so far and what you've seen out of him? There's been a lot of comparison to him your rookie season, what people saw out of you too.
Well, I haven't been able to watch the games very much because obviously we're playing at the same time a lot of times. But just getting to know him a little bit throughout the offseason and talking to him right before the draft and stuff like that, I have a lot of respect for him. He loves the game. He's obviously, I think the similarities in baseball, our height and everything else. And I just think that he's a fantastic football player. You can see, I watched him a lot in college, though. I watched him when he was on TV playing and running around making plays, throwing the ball deep and doing some special things. And, he's a competitive player. He's a guy who loves the game and been making a lot of great throws for them.
You told us back in the spring, but remind us, did he seek you out before the draft for advice?
Yeah, so we just wanted to connect, ask about the draft and just about the process and, why I chose football and everything else in that process. And, I think for me, it was just, I told him, I'll never forget, I kind of told him just, you gotta write out your pros and cons. You gotta write out, really what your vision is and what you want to do in life. And, have the ability to say that no matter what I choose, it's going to work out for the good, And so I think that he made a great decision in terms of just his ability to play the game of football is spectacular, and get to play against him for many years.
If you were a first-round pick of the Oakland A's with how many millions of dollars waiting for you in baseball, would you have chosen baseball instead?
That's a tough question. I love baseball either way. I think I was when getting in the fourth round or whatever, and for me, I love the game of baseball, still do to this day. I would have tried to. For me, I probably would have done the same thing. Try to keep my options open and just see what happens. I love the game of football too. So, it's a tough decision. When you have an opportunity like that to play pro baseball, I think sometimes as a player, or sometimes when you have that many gifts, I know for me, it almost at times seemed like it was almost like a curse in a way, but it's really a blessing, and you realize that, what, man, God's given me talent, and I want to use it to the best of my ability. And I think at the end of the day, I think I made the right decision.
Given the position you play, probably doesn't make it viable anyway, but if you think back to when Bo and Dion were splitting time between the two sports and how crazy that would be and what that would try to be like if you were to try to do something like that?
Yeah, I've always thought about that, obviously. I've always wanted to play two sports, at the same time, to be honest with you. I think that for me, playing the same city is a big factor, right? I'm with the Yankees and being in Seattle, it's long distance. I think, too, it's also a part of, the time commitment that you have to put in playing this position. The quarterback position is I'm spending hours and hours on film. I probably, 24 hours in a day, probably roughly for me, probably about at least 16 hours of those are are probably somewhere around football. Whether if I'm getting my body right and watching film while I'm doing that, whether if I'm just getting here early, taking care of myself, watching film, obviously out in the practice field. That's a lot of time and effort and energy into that. And so, for me, like I said, I've always, whenever sport I've ever played, I always try to leave it out in the field and just try to do everything I can to be the best that I can be in that sport. For me, I want to be the best, quarterback arguably to ever play the game, and just try to do everything I can just to stay focused on the goal and the mission, and fight for wins and fight for championships and Super Bowls.
When you came in, there was talk of, this guy's a great prospect. He'd be a first-round pick if not for the height. Now we've seen, for number one pick at your height. Do you think you changed that perception a little bit?
I think I definitely helped it. I think I had some people that came before me. Drew Brees, opened up the door for me. I think we both of us playing the Big Ten. I think both of us being the height that we are, our ability to throw, move around, throw in the pocket, outside the pocket, do all that stuff. And obviously him winning a Super Bowl was a big deal. I think there's quarterbacks before him too, Doug Fluy's of the world, Michael Vick's, around that time too, as Drew. And there's been some other great quarterbacks. I think about, I think about just all the amazing quarterbacks that have been on the play. Steve Young was a great example, not the biggest guy in the world, obviously won Super Bowls. So I think that some people opened the door for me. I think Drew's obviously the closest comparison in the sense of our size and how we throw the ball and just different stuff. But I think that with me I think I definitely winning a Super Bowl my second year to be able to open some doors for other guys. And you see guys like Baker, you see guys like Kyler and others, and hopefully that stays the case. Hopefully we can continue to break barriers. To allow people to play the game, no matter what you look like, no matter what your size, no matter what your race is, no matter what the scenario is.
Has baseball ever been talk of contracts with the Seahawks where you had an escape route if you wanted it?
No, not really. Honestly, I think everybody knows I've been playing it my whole life. I think it's been something that's helped my game of football. To be honest with you, so never really thought about it that way. To be honest, I love the game of football. I've always wanted to win multiple Super Bowls and be here in Seattle. It's such a special place, and I love playing with the Seahawks and stuff. So that's never been a thought really.
Is it troublesome to you that now 3 games in a row, maybe some penalties and mental miscues and self-inflicted wounds have kind of plagued you guys?
Yeah, I think that that's the thing you can look at it in a bad way, you can look at it in a good way. The good thing is if that's the thing that's troubling us, it's not us. We can't make plays. It's the stuff that we can control. So if we can fix those things that we can control, how good can we be? And that's how I look at it. I think that we have a great opportunity to be a really special football team, a really young special football team, and to be able to win a lot of football games. And so what it takes, though, and I think we all have to understand this as a young football team, is that what it takes is discipline. What it takes is being smart in certain situations. What it takes is being clutch in certain situations and all those things. And you have to rise to the occasion. And we can't beat up ourselves. I think last game to be honest with you, we just beat up ourselves. We put ourselves behind the 8 ball a little bit, and had some penalties early on, this and that, and turnovers and stuff like that. So if we can, when we get rid of that, and we will, I think that will be a great thing for us.
Has that been harped on during meetings this week?
Yeah, I think we definitely have talked about that for sure. Definitely trying to play clean football. If we can play clean football, where there's not many penalties, there's going to be penalties. It's physical game, fast game, but to keep our penalties low, which we've actually done a pretty decent job of that. It's sometimes just the timing of the penalties. We're in the flow, penalty, bang. So it's like we can't do that. So I think that's big, and we've definitely been talking about that for sure.
Chandler Jones and the rest of the pass rush and the front 7 they have, just what do you see out of that group?
Well, Chandler is, I've gotten to know him over the years, seen him in the offseason and stuff like that too. Funny little story about Chandler and I got to know him a little bit when I was coming out for the draft, and he was coming out too, and we were actually, they flew us up to Buffalo Bills. And we got to spend a lot of time around them there, and so I got to know him there. And then fast forward over the years, and he's just a tremendous football player. He's got amazing moves. He can get to the quarterback. He's just a playmaker. Some of the plays he's made over the past couple of weeks has been special. So he's a true factor. Obviously, Suggs, he's a Hall of Famer, a guy who's been playing in the league. I think 16 years now, I believe 16 or 17 years. So he's got a great understanding of the game too. As physical as can be. So I got a lot of respect for him too. I've always admired his game. So those are two guys that I have the chance to be. Suggs is going to be, but in terms of Chandler Jones to be a Hall of Famer, and just those two guys are really special.
You guys haven't lost in Arizona against the Cardinals since your rookie season. What is it about you and this team that has allowed you to have so much success against the Cardinals in the desert?
Well, it's always a tough battle. There's been some tough games along the way, but I think that we just have executed when we need to. And when the game's on the line, we execute. When it matters most, we execute, and that's how you find a way to win. And that's what we want to be able to do. And just it's about this game. It's about this opportunity. I think the other thing that I think is a factor a little bit is our fans travel really well. It's always a great thing when you see Seahawks fans wherever we go. It's when we went to Pittsburgh, even though there was a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans, there's a great amount of Seahawks fans there. When we ever go to Atlanta, or whenever we go to New York City, or obviously MetLife's been a special place for us. Whenever we go certain places, Seahawks fans are always there. London, just packed house, Seahawks. So the 12s are alive, and I think that matters.
During the week, do you sit in on position group meetings for all the other position groups in the offense?
No, usually when we're in position groups, I'm in the quarterback room. But we do have our offensive meetings and our team meetings together. I'm in there a lot. And then Tuesdays, we bring the players in. I just talk to them and talk about what we're trying to do, what we're thinking about, and stuff like that. So, but a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to relay, if I have a thought or an idea, we relay it to the other position groups, and then they know, hey, check this play out real fast, or check this out, check this, see what I'm thinking about here. So that's usually how that works. And then after practice, we're all in here watching the film together.
Russ, this is a bit off topic, but you've talked about your love of baseball. Obviously, you're in the NFL. But if the sports thing didn't work out for you, what do you think you'd be doing as your career?
Yeah, if sports didn't work out, which for me, I'm a plan A guy, so I always envisioned it working out. But if it didn't work out, I think I'd definitely be doing something in business and stuff like that. Definitely business is a big part of my mindset, and just I love creating things. I love thinking that way, and that would be definitely something I'm into. I obviously have several companies now that West East is the main one, and so all the things that we're doing there, and with our production company, Why Not You Productions with Sierra and I, and Limitless Minds and stuff like that. It's real stuff, and so it's real business, and things that I'm fortunate that I have a great team that get to lead that and run that, and when I'm focused over here in football and watching film, the operation is running, and so that's probably what I would be doing. I think my biggest goal is obviously to own teams. Obviously, starting off with the Sounders and doing stuff like that is a significant thing, and I'm grateful for that. So. I think for Sierra and I, we want to be able to do stuff that impacts the community, impacts Seattle, impacts just Pacific Northwest, and it just impacts the world if we can. So I think for me, I don't know if I'd be in a box. I don't know if I could just do one thing. I think for me, I've always thought outside the box. I've always wanted to do new stuff and create things, and I think that's my mentality.
When did you start to put together your performance team with everybody on that?
Yeah, so my first year didn't have. I just got massages and stuff like that. My first year, second year, same thing, and then after we won the Super Bowl, that's when I started thinking about it, and just kind of, I met Janet, who was my PT now and full-time PT now and stuff like that, and so Janet and I met. She was getting me ready for for the Super Bowl and stuff like that, and after off season and all that, and so I met some people along the way. And I remember telling Janet after my second year, I was like, one day, I'd love for you to work with me. And she's like, yeah, that'd be cool, blah, blah, blah. And then fast forward, and by the way, she's a huge Michigan fan, and Wisconsin won, so it was good that Wisconsin won. So fast forward, years later, I'd probably say my fourth year is when I started really putting the team together. It's really Decker Davis, my trainer, he comes with me, travels with me everywhere. Works, obviously works me out all off season during the season too, and then Carrie, a massage person too as well, and then just putting that team together, and Janet, and so I think that was kind of just been the process, and my chef too as well, putting her, So I think now we have about 6 people, and that with Trevor too as my mental guy, and so I think a lot of it is investing in like I've said to you guys before, it's like Formula One car. You want to invest into everything that you're trying to do, because where I'm trying to go, and where I'm trying to be. 10, 15 years from now, there's a lot to it, and you want to be at the highest level to ever do it. And I think that you got to have great people, the best to do it around you. So I'm grateful for that.
21 completions to Tyler Lockett the last 2 weeks. Just obviously you played with him a long time. You're comfortable together, but just how good are things going between you guys? Right now?
Yeah, Tyler's lights out. I mean, he's just always open. He finds a way to create separation. He's got great hands. He's a special player, And to be honest with you, it was funny because I was at practice yesterday. And I was kind of looking at him, and I'm a small guy, and he's really small. And I'm just like, man, it's amazing. Like when you think about it, and you really think about just how special he is. It's just like one of those things that anybody can do anything if you really set your mind to it. And he sets his mind to it. Obviously, he's really fast and all that, and that's a gift from God. But he works at it, And I think his gift is his ability to enhance his own skill set by putting the time in, by putting the effort in. But he's so smart. He understands the game. So that's what I love about him, And he's a great receiver for sure. I'm glad he's on our team.
Superstars in sports, like D-Wade or whoever else do you ever talk to them about leadership?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a big thing. I remember talking to Dwayne when we were D-Wade when we were in Cannes this past summer. We were Sierra was performing and stuff like that, and everything else, and we were just in the we were watching in the corner, just talking about what success looks like and how you get there and how you sustain it. And I was asking him about his career. I think he played 16 years or maybe longer in the NBA, and just what he did from a performance team standpoint, what he did from just a leadership standpoint, the transition from him being there and obviously being the star that he was, and then having LeBron come in and all that stuff. And I think the leadership that he's displayed, and I think a lot of it is the best way to lead. First of all, is by everyone seeing how much work you put into it. How much do you really care? And I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is having the passion behind it, and how you bring it every day, and and when you play on game day and everything else. And I think ultimately the greatest way to lead is just by your language. We both talked about that. Just language is key, and being able to talk to him about just putting his whole life together and his whole thing together, and the challenges and all the positives as well, and he's obviously a Hall of Famer. Guys, arguably best to ever do it, So it's cool, being able to call him a friend, but also a person that you can. I get nuggets of information. I think there's other people that have given me advice too, like Derek Jeter and players like that, that you learn a lot from, and you get really respect, and there's many others.
Do you seek out Chris Carson this week and talk to him any differently than any other week, given what's happening?
I kind of told you guys just a little bit about we texted and talked after the game, and and just to realize that I told him on Monday morning when we lifted, I just kind of went up to him and just said, some of the greatest running backs, Walter Payton fumbled too, he just kind of laughed, and he said, it's going to happen. But to realize just you're a great football player, go for it, so we got to be cleaner. That's the truth, right? But we can't, there should be no fear in his mind. He's special. He's special, and we need him. We're better when we have Chris Carson. Our football team is very, very good when he's on the field. So we want him on the field for sure.
Anything else? Thanks, Russ.
Thank you guys. Go Hawks.
Thank you.
Yep.